The journey to becoming radiant both in-game and in real life has proven itself to be a challenging one. This week, we not only overcome the hurdles of being sick and stuck in bed, but managed to propel our rate of progression through the roof with a brand new system. A system that not only brings out the best in us, but holds us accountable to pushing our own limits. This week, we enter a new era, one where the kills are cleaner, the teamwork is better, and the progression is a lot faster. Progressing towards Radiant demands its price. However, the only question left is if we're able to continue paying it. If this is your first time clicking on a Zasko II video, basically I upload a video once a week showcasing a 100% transparent journey to reaching my goals. However, this week has been an absolute roller coaster, so I reckon you're going to enjoy it. This week, our journey begins at 6 o'clock in the morning. Actually, our first time sleeping in since deciding 4 o'clock and 4:30 was going to be our wake up time. Don't worry, I'm not being lazy. I actually ended up getting super sick, so I was trying to get some extra sleep to recover. I ended up catching a common flu or cold from a relative, and it's just running its course at the moment. The runny nose wasn't horrible, it was just the fatigue that was really wreaking havoc. So when I went to work, I did end up getting sent back home straight away, and I got a couple of days off. On my way home, I checked to see if any oysters had spawned, but once again, no luck. Spawn rate's super low for some reason, so I'll have to find another solution to that. But after arriving home and getting comfortable, the first thing I do is make myself a burger cheese and start to do some planning. Of course, the most apparent thing for me to prioritize at the moment is recovery, so I decide to opt for a 1-to-1 recovery to grind ratio. Normally that's about 1 to 100. Once I hop on Valorant, I'm going to unbind crouch straight away. Last week it was just kind of annoying how many times I crouch sprayed, and I want to really break that habit. I'm also going to limit how many things I work on at once, as I feel like my notorious approach to just doing everything at the same time is probably contributing to my high stress levels. However, nothing contributes to the stress more than the dots that keep appearing on my screen. So this week I'm going to find a financially responsible approach to upgrading our setup and finally getting rid of the dots once and for all. Now, I didn't realize at the time, but I messed up my audio while recording these clips here, but thankfully it's nothing too special. I basically just whip out the Vandal, unbind my crouch, and I alternate between 30 minutes of grind and 30 minutes of recovery, keeping in line with that 1-to-1 recovery to grind ratio. An old concept that I was going to do that I ended up forgetting about when I moved houses was the idea of building and then maintaining stretches. Basically, instead of overwhelming myself trying to stretch the entire body in a single day, I'm going to pick a specific area, I'm going to build its range of motion up across an entire week, and then I'm just going to simply maintain it going forwards. It'll be so interesting to see how far we can actually push ourselves in a single week. Here's where I was at before our first session, and we'll check back in at the end of the week to see how we've done. After getting through 30 minutes of stretching, I hop back on Valorant and I warm up in the range. I was feeling good, there weren't any dots, so I decided to queue a comp. Of course, in typical fashion, our first game ended up being a loss. However, what's really important here is that the dots came back halfway through the game, and I just really couldn't take it anymore. After touching every single keyboard in the store, I walk out with a new CPU, motherboard, and some RAM. Last week I upgraded my GPU, so besides these parts, the only other thing to upgrade is my monitor. However, I did decide to take a little detour first and upgrade my computer so that I can handle a more beefy monitor. In preparation for our arduous task of building a PC, I eat my beef liver and I make a very formal burger cheese. I enjoy a bit of peace and quiet before going back inside and backing up everything onto a hard drive. The first and probably easiest challenge that I had to face was installing the RAM. Not only am I upgrading from 32GB of RAM to 64, but I'm also upgrading from DDR4 RAM to DDR5. I've definitely got some unresolved trauma from many years ago when I was trying to install a CPU and dropped it onto my motherboard, bending all the pins and having to get mum to come with a pin and straighten them. However, in this case it probably doesn't help that I'm working with an R7 7800X3D processor, a processor that's easily capable of powering the entirety of Melbourne if it had to. Since I'm swapping from Intel to AMD, I needed to get a new CPU fan as well, so I bolt this thing onto my motherboard, try my best to plug everything in well, and then get my old PC ready to perform the transplant. Now look, I kid you not, this took hours, okay? I can make this time lapse look insanely quick by just 4xing the speed, but at this point I was exhausted, and when my PC was not booting, the feelings of fear and stress that were flowing through me meant I was stressing. But it's alright. The wave passes quickly and I just start diagnosing. I try and figure it out. Any minutes of problem solving later, and I found that the PC case wasn't properly plugged into the motherboard. The power button wasn't properly powering on the computer. After plugging that in properly, everything was working fine. But of course, we actually haven't solved the dots yet. At this point, we're pushing 2.5 hours past bedtime, and I end up getting to sleep and waking up at 7:22. This is where we actually start going off the rails.
I'm pretty sick.
I was hoping that I'd be recovered by today, but we're actually only just hitting the peak now. Once capable of using my brain again, I get straight back to work on the PC setup, as my computer needs a fresh install of Windows 11, not only to make sure everything works well, but to make sure that the X3D function of my CPU is installed properly. I make sure that the first thing I download on my computer is Valorant, as that's clearly the most important, and then I make my way over to the shops and buy the burger cheese ingredients. Between this episode and the previous, I spent about $2,800 on my setup altogether. However, if upgrading my computer is going to allow me to make better, higher quality videos, at the end of the day, that's all I care about, and I'm happy to invest my money into that. In order to offset the financial damage it's caused, I've done two things. First of all, I've sold off all the old parts, totaling about $400. But second of all, allow me to introduce you to the Zasko II Fund. I've honestly never seen this done before, and I think it's probably the coolest thing I've ever thought of. 100% of the money that I earn from YouTube is going straight into the Zasko II Fund. I spent some time setting up a Ko-Fi, which allows any supporters of the Zasko II channel to also add to the Zasko II Fund. But my absolute favorite part is that anyone donating to the Zasko II Fund will be voting on what the Zasko II Fund is spent on. There is no limitation to what the Zasko II Fund can go towards. Of course, I made a Discord for all the Ko-Fi supporters. This will not only be the headquarters in which we operate the Zasko II Fund from, but I've also given away a few gifts to the supporters. I think I've got the basics down. The audio is so bassy. This quality audio is insane. Bro, I did not realize motherboard made that big of a difference on audio. Also, I'm getting 1,000 FPS. Oh, I can't really breathe. Sorry, I forgot to turn down the Valorant sound, so that was probably really loud. As you can see, the PC is working, and it was pretty insane. It felt so good, and I haven't even upgraded my monitor yet. Because the sickness was really starting to wipe out all my habits one by one, I decided to get on top of it straight away. I designed a brand new spreadsheet, one that serves a different purpose to our original. Just in case you're new, I'll explain that this here is the spreadsheet we use to track all our data. Every week we're able to compare our results and basically see if we've gotten better or not. This spreadsheet I'm calling the Zasko II Growth Measurement System. On the left is a list of all the tasks that are involved in me progressing at the goals that I have in life. Let's say it's Thursday and I use my sad lamp for 15 minutes. I'm rewarded a singular point. However, if I went for 45 minutes, it's worth 3 points. As I go down the list one by one, completing each and every task that I can do, as I complete more and more tasks, our daily growth rating slowly increases. This number is a direct measurement of how much we're giving to reach our goals. What it does is hold me super accountable to what I'm meant to do in a day. It takes away the decision fatigue. It takes away the need to think. All I have to do is load up the spreadsheet and go through it one by one. If I bring it up on screen, we can see that I skipped the sad meditation in the morning today, as well as the gym I slept in. However, I did do my stretches, focus training, and I'm doing my physical warm-up now. So we're sitting at a measly daily growth rating of 4. Terrible, guys, come on. Now, like I said earlier, the new PC was feeling so responsive, like it was ridiculous. I haven't even upgraded my monitor yet and I don't know what's going on. Every single run was a new high score and my aim was just feeling insane, so I was so excited to play. One thing I will mention is that since setting up my new PC and freshly installing Windows, I haven't seen a single dot on my screen. As a part of last week's troubleshooting, I did update my drivers, but maybe I missed something? Either way, we're pretty much on to play some games. After my ramp warm-up, continuing down the list is deathmatch. I often find that all it takes is one single deathmatch before my game and it has a world of a difference on my performance. So I've just added it to our system so I automatically reap the benefits of that every single day. I have been on the hunt for a brand new monitor, but I'm still yet to find anything that stands out. However, the computer was treating me really well today and I haven't got any dots on my screen, so all should be well for now. This was my first proper deathmatch playing on the new setup and I don't know if you can tell, but I was kind of enjoying it. After finishing our deathmatch, I queue into our first competitive game. We're starting off on Icebox, defense side, and honestly I was feeling super confident now that I was playing on this fresh setup. Throughout the last couple of weeks, I haven't been able to focus on game sense as much, as it's kind of just been a matter of get through the week and hopefully fix the dots. But once we do get our new monitor, there is definitely a lot of work to do surrounding game plans and specific map playbooks. Icebox specifically is definitely one that I struggle with, and I definitely need to spend some time in a custom game recreating some professional VODs that I see. You might look at the scores and see that we end up finishing the half 9-3, but our actual problem comes on the attack side, where we just don't have it. We don't have the attack side on this map. Whether it's a combination of poor pathing, poor post plant, or a whole bunch of everything combined into one, we definitely have to do some work on the attack side, like 100%. So I put that down on our to-do list after the game ended. Hopefully I'll get to that, but for now, they end up coming back, and of course we lose the game, so yeah, that's alright. We still get a point on the daily growth rating. Our next game was Sunset, and we started off on the attack side. We definitely don't have any problems when it comes to making sure that we're in front and pushing onto site fearlessly. However, we do need to work at our decision making 100%. Overheating is definitely starting to become a common occurrence, and probably losing me more rounds than I deserve to. But at the end of the day, nothing actually matters if I've still got dots on my screen, because I have like 5 crosshairs and can't see where I'm shooting. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't be playing comp under these circumstances, as I've said maybe 100 times in the last couple of weeks. But now that I'm following a system that dictates whether I play or not, it's actually up to the hindsight me to set that up. Otherwise, in the moment, especially when I'm sick and low willpower, I'm just going to take the opportunity to play regardless. But another game means plenty of new experiences and things to learn from, so that means another point on the daily growth rating. Going into our third and final game, I was definitely starting to get super fatigued. It was just as if the sickness was draining all the energy out of me, and I just couldn't focus properly. The dots as well adding to this concoction of mess, and I was able to pull off a nice couple plays, but at the end of the day it wasn't enough to get the win. Especially as the game progressed, I was just starting to miss easy shots that I never should, and the bottom line was I just was not playing to peak performance. One thing that is worth taking into consideration is the fact that my sleep schedule definitely got just completely destroyed from this sickness. I don't even know how much sleep I've been getting, let alone quality sleep. Now in previous weeks, I'd start to feel a bit grim at this point, a little bit demotivated and flat, and I wouldn't get too much done after this. However, the growth measurement system had different plans. We are not done yet. 1 week, 1 area, like I said. For our stretches, we're doing hamstrings. For our aim training, we're doing target switching. I was going back and forth between the barbecue and the aim trainer, setting timers to make sure that my burger cheese doesn't burn, and we're shooting for that double pointer, the 30-minute aim training session. For the most optimal gains, I've doubled my sensitivity to 0.4 from 0.2, 800 DPI. My absolute priority going into this is making sure that I've got perfect tension management and I'm super focused on the target. Not only that, but I was also starting to use my peripheral vision to identify and track targets at the same time as the main target. Before I knew it, aim training session was done and we scored ourselves another 2 points. But we don't stop there, it's on to the next thing. We're on to focused death matches. I wasn't focusing too heavily on crosshair placement, but rather tension management and making sure that I was still focused on the head, the exact same things that I was doing in my aim training. Next was our first bullet accuracy and making sure that we're only shooting bursts or tapping. I do still have crouch unbinded, and now that we're using the Vandal again, it was like we were resurfacing that subconscious information on how to burst strafe. It's something we're good at and we've practiced heaps, but we just kind of lost it a bit. At one point I switched to the Guardian in order to not only work on my first bullet accuracy, but just how I use the Guardian in general. It's a gun that I should be using more and something that I used to be super good at, but once again I lost that. At this point it's past 8 o'clock, so there's absolutely no chance I'm getting any points there. However, we're onto our second deathmatch already, and those are starting to make up for it. By the time that I got onto my third deathmatch, I was really starting to feel it now. Coming from double my sensitivity back down to my usual one just felt so good. I think a massive part of it is the fact that if I can control my tension on a higher sense, coming to a lower sense is easy. The precision and accuracy I felt was insane. However, our final deathmatch was something different. It was a level of aim that I actually didn't know I was capable of. It was as if the aim training, in combination with our brand new setup, in combination with the 0 dots on my screen at the moment, was just taking things to a whole new level. But anyways, with that we get our first legendary 4-pointer, leaving us with a final growth rating of 15. So with that I get myself to sleep at about 9:30, before waking up at 6 and getting straight into our sad lamp meditation. Just for anyone that's new, the sad lamp basically replicates the sun. I wake up before the sun, so this helps me set my circadian rhythm so that I can have consistent sleep. But after scoring a couple points, I remember that today is beef liver day, so I start defrosting that. As I'm still feeling super sick and fatigued at the moment, I decide not to go to the gym but to still do some sort of exercise at home in order to score a couple points. One thing that I want to work on across the board with all exercises is time under tension. What I'm going for is 1 second on the main movement and then 3 seconds on the eccentric movement. I then do about a 2-minute rest and then continue from there. As I continue down the list, the next thing to do is our stretching. One of the best parts about putting stretching before everything else is that it really slows me down. Now as we get to some more important business, a burger cheese was definitely necessary. We smash out our focus training before going straight into our physical warm-up. These could definitely be massively contributing to our increased performance this week. And of course, now that they're added to the growth measurement system, it is now automatic. It is a must-do. My recording for the ramp warm-up corrupted, but we did do our ramp warm-up and go straight into a deathmatch. I definitely feel like we found the most optimal method to warming up without doing too much and exerting too much energy, but while simultaneously performing at our absolute peak. After finishing our deathmatch, we get stuck into competitive and our first map is bind. Let me know when you're darting backside.
Darting backside, 3, 2.
Yep.
Yeah, playing that battle.
That's sharp. CT.
Out CT.
Yeah, that's up.
This game was insane. This game was a combination of all our learnings in the previous week in combination with our brand new peak mechanics. Words can't describe how good it felt, but I felt like a real duelist, especially our attack side, finally. But of course, as we know, when we have a good attack side, or at least a neutral one, the game's a breeze because defense is easy. With my newfound mechanical confidence, the Guardian was a no-brainer. Gone are the days of specters and running around spraying. I want the head. I want the head of the enemy.
I have bomb.
So dumb for peeking that. I'm just gonna position there. One on side, pushed up. Could be close, CT.
Holy shit, he's got an off.
Close.
Shot. Nice, last one short.
And with a beautiful performance like that, we're finally put back on our rank up game where we can prove ourselves once and for all. And our chance to do that was in our next game, Lotus. However, one downfall of this game was that I was very comfortable with the idea that my teammates were going to work with me all the time, as I got very lucky last game. Do you mind jiggle peeking in here? Just bait and like back off. Unfortunately, this game, it was very difficult to coordinate with the team and I wasn't getting any communication from them. We need to be able to carry ourselves regardless of whether we have teammates that'll work with us or not. We need to be a raid boss. Our next game was our favorite map, Ascent. How is he so good at Sova? Unfortunately with this game, I also lucked out. I didn't have any teammates communicating and I was pretty solo. However, this time I had a slightly different mentality, which was, I'm just going to focus on killing everyone and having perfect mechanics. I hate this Sova. As the game progressed, my mechanics weren't amazing, but my entries were getting really good. Despite not having teammates to work with and coordinate with, the pace was fast, it was aggressive. We were taking the space and taking the game. There was a direct correlation between my illness fading and my performance increasing. I was starting to get a bit more relaxed with my shots, but the tension management still wasn't 100% there. Compared to last week where I worked as much as I did, and then this week where I had a couple days off to recover, my stress levels were so much lower and that was reflecting in my gameplay. But honestly, once the illness goes away, we get on top of our sleep and we keep abusing the new growth measurement system, it can genuinely only go up from here. This game. I actually think I've hit the Ascendant 1 rank up game at least 5 times now. Regardless, it is time to get our nutrition sorted for the day. Obviously, we get our supplements and beef liver down before getting stuck into our aim training session, which of course is still target switching. I think that one of the reasons why target switching has such a positive impact on my performance is because it's a really good way to practice my tension management. Last week, that was the one thing that held me back so dramatically, my inability to stay fluid when I'm dealing with moving targets shooting at me. However, this week has been completely different since I started to practice my tension management on target switching scenarios. It's just so rapid, so constant, and you're just practicing it in isolation with just pure intensity. I'm really glad that this is our main focus for the week. Now I know what you're thinking. He's in the car, driving somewhere, looking to buy something. This can't be good. But actually this is great. We are finally getting rid of the dots forever. I was able to score an ROG Swift 360Hz monitor for just 400 Australian dollars. Such a beautiful way to end an already beautiful day. Of course, it was a pretty long drive and I went way past 8 o'clock's bedtime, but it was well worth it. But I can't wake up any later than 6 o'clock today as we're going into work for an 8-hour shift. Unfortunately, I'm still not feeling amazing, so this one's a bit of a challenge. However, on my break, I get to refuel myself with cheesy chicken as per the protocol. On my break, I check for any oyster spawns, but once again, no luck. Found out that I'm actually allowed to order them on a regular occurrence. Pick a certain day where I pick it up consistently. But besides that, the last 20 minutes of my break goes to some sunlight. Normally at this time, it's very difficult for me to understand what I should be working on. But this is where the growth tracker is beautiful. Bang, next thing, stretching. Why don't we stretch? Let's do it. Due to our consistency, my flexibility was developing each and every day. As I mentioned earlier, once we finish this week of stretching, these current stretches will be moved to a maintaining routine and we'll start to build some new ones as well. Of course, most of our day has been wiped out by work, but we still do have a few hours left. What do? We just stick to the growth measurement system. However, of course, we've got a brand new monitor. And well, let's just say, you know what, actually, I don't even have to say anything. Oh my god. Get me into the soup! Get on Lotus with an insane team comp. Double Initiator, Gecko, Sky, Omen for the blind, Raze for the nade, and then I can fight Rubble. It's ridiculously good. Yeah, ridiculously good. It definitely was. I was feeling so confident. It felt as if I finally had access to my true potential in Valorant. Hey, break dog. Two more. Of course though, the game was super close right to the end, and we ended up in an overtime. The stalemate though was that neither team could defend, but both teams could attack, and the game just ended up being a draw, unfortunately, so we don't have a winner for that one. Hey, but I won't lie, for our first game on the 360Hz monitor, this is ridiculous. I think I got a little bit carried away with the excitement because I ended up queuing another game and I was way too tired at this point. Some of the plays that I was able to make were super cool, but my overall performance just wasn't good enough to win the game, so it was an unnecessary loss. So tired, that was probably pushing my limit playing that second game, but it's alright. Now, I do finish off the night with a burger cheese barbecue before realizing that I'm definitely starting to feel better and much like my normal self. However, my habits are definitely not reflecting that. I came to the conclusion that I need some better systems in place in order to ensure that they get done. The first one that I decided to address was the fact that my mornings were super messy. I decided that if I want success, I need to set myself up for success when I've got the brain power to do so. The first thing I did is move my sad lamp to the desk so that I can sit down more comfortably. I prepared a full bottle of water so that I can hydrate myself first thing in the morning, as well as put the specific supplements I'm taking on the table next to it, and just overall went to sleep knowing that I have a plan for the morning. Now, because my sleep schedule's a little bit messed up at the moment, it was super difficult to get to sleep, and in order to assist that, I just sort of look at a candle. Now, of course, at 5 o'clock I woke up to an alarm. That alarm was set up next to my water bottle, meaning I had to get up out of bed, turn off the alarm, and then my water and supplements were right there. So of course, that's the system doing its job. I might as well sit down and do my sad lamp meditation. But after the sad lamp meditation, there's no going to sleep. There is just genuinely no going to sleep after the sad lamp meditation. So for the first time since our sickness, we get ourselves back to the gym. Starting off with some stretches before getting straight into our bench press. Once again, our main focus is time under tension, how long we're actually lifting the weight for. What I'm going for is a 1 second lift, followed by a 3 second eccentric. Now, I'm not sure if it's because it's been a week since I was at the gym or if the time under tension is very deadly, but man, I felt the pain. In order to make up for our week off, I wanted to aim for 8 exercises. According to the growth measurement system, if we did hit 8 exercises, it would be a legendary workout. I kept my 1-to-3 time under tension ratio through all exercises, and they were so much more difficult. I get through all the different heads of my chest before going on to tries and shoulders. However, I did end up reaching my limit when I hit the 6th exercise. It makes it a really good workout, worth about 3 points. However, not quite the 4 points that we were after. The first thing I do is rush back home and get myself set up for success. Folding the doona, rolling up the futon, packing away the sad lamp, and then turning on the PC. The PC is on. 30 minutes, 6 exercises, get stuck into our stretches. This was proving to be so much more than just a measurement system. It's as if my progression has been automated and I don't have to use my brain anymore. That my brain has been freed from the thoughts of what I should be doing, and now they're free to go and wonder in the ideas of how I should be doing them. I've always known that doing a physical warm-up before my games will increase my performance. However, when it's up to myself in the moment, well, let's just say I haven't done a physical warm-up in a very long time. Introduce the measurement system though, and suddenly we've done it 5 consecutive days. Same thing with the focus training, same thing with the ramp warm-up, and same thing with the deathmatch. I guess now the only question is how far can it take us? Can we make it even more effective than it already is? But a better question is, what does Valorant look like when we finally get a good sleep, we don't have work, we don't have a broken monitor, and we've been aim training all week? With our super optimal warm-up done, we are feeling peak and ready to go. The performance that we were putting out is something we have never done on the channel before. We have officially entered a new era. Our tension management was better than ever before. Nothing but calm aim and headshots. Unfortunately, our super dominant performance on defense didn't carry over to attack, and we did get destroyed. But I've still got plenty of energy and plenty of confidence, so I warm up my hands and get straight back into the queue. I was excited for this game considering it was Ascent, however for the first time in my life someone beat me to Jet. I said, you know what, let's give ISO a shot and see how that goes. The one thing I enjoyed was the pace at which I could play at as ISO. Even when entering, I'm just running. I'm not dashing, I'm just running. Do we know where she plays? Should I risk just throwing it out there?
I always will.
Edges dead. Neon's there still. There should be one on site, let's go. The thing with ISO is obviously his shield, and just being able to tank a single bullet from any gun in the game just gives you confidence like never before. Swag. Despite the countless times where I forgot to pop my shield going into my ult, I did not die a single time. To be put in a 1v1 scenario where all that matters is mechanics and I have an advantage, I don't know, that's yeah, that was something I enjoyed. I'm gonna get to check. This game was definitely one of the funnest I've played so far. Well done, bro. Well deserved. Let's go. But not only that, I dropped 34 kills on my first game as ISO. Jeez, we're definitely in a new era here. For the next game, I did decide to stick to Jet for now, just because I feel like with ISO, there is still a lot that I don't know and I should probably look into before queuing into some other maps. However, of course, our Guardian practice has been put to good use. Even better though, our Vandal has gotten way better now that we're not crouch spraying. All the limit testing that we've done in past is allowing us to really understand how far we can push it without getting greedy. We're definitely no longer just a monkey brain Jet insta-lock. We've actually got a bit of purpose behind our plays. Dashing a dash. The best part about this game by far was definitely the team that I was playing with. Some of the coolest people I've ever run into before. Oh, Jesus.
What a round. This is just such a good game. Everyone everywhere else.
Can you close the door?
Nice. What a fun game. You guys are, you know what? I wish you guys have these kind of games every day.
You too, bro.
You too, for real.
I love you all. It's time for some food. Our DGR is already at 13 and there's still so much room for more. Like, this we are record by far. It's not worth playing any more games for now, but we can definitely aim train, get a good sleep. I'll get some editing done. All right, there's potential. So that does bring us to the end of this week's journey. I wrap it up by getting a few hours of editing done, spending some time in the sun while I get a barbecue going, eating some beef liver, getting my nutrition down, and then spending the night watching the grand finals with some friends, which was a pretty intense game. It is benchmarks day, so let's check out the results. Our Valorant performance suffered a massive dip at the start of the week, followed by a massive boost at the end, so it ended up being pretty neutral by the end of the week. Our body weight, as well as measurements across the board, did suffer just because I didn't go to the gym all week as I was really sick. This is something I'll get back on top of straight away. I didn't actually attempt any personal records in meditation, but our subscribers have gone up to 1,366, which is very exciting. Net worth isn't moving this week just because I spent it all on my PC upgrades, but that's alright, next week will be better. The Zasko II rating, honestly, just ignore it at this point. It's so outdated and it doesn't actually count any of the good metrics. I need to fix that up. But yeah, I worked 13 less hours this week because I took 2 days off. However, I got my YouTube videos clicked to 137, which is so high, it's not even funny. I am probably brain rotted out of my mind. Since tracking our comp games, we've hit an all-time low, partially because 2 days were wiped out on PC building, or maybe it's because of the 137 videos clicked, I don't know. As for our growth measurement system, we ended up with a total DGR of 90. Looking at the amount of red on the screen really indicates how much room there is to grow even further. Imagine a world where this is all green. That's like peak. As I mentioned earlier, anyone that does contribute to the Zasko II Fund will gain access to these spreadsheets. Please keep in mind, I designed these completely for myself, so if you use them, you'll need to tweak them and make them your own, but I'll give you guys the template to do so. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, so I can't even show you guys the stretching progression, but I think it's been a very good week. Moving forwards, there's heaps to work on, so the grind definitely isn't stopping anytime soon, but yeah, I'm very happy with how far we've come so far. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. Let me know what you think of the Zasko II Fund as well. I think that'll be pretty funny and hopefully it doesn't turn chaotic. But for now, I'm going to go to sleep because I'll be recording tomorrow morning. Goodbye.